I did a podcast where I talked about the formula and the ingredients to get whatever you want out of life. So if you don't know how to get whatever you want out of life, especially as it pertains to the stock market, then I'm going to share with you the ingredients and the formula as it relates to the stock market and your finances. So keep watching. Hey, so chances are you're like me, and there was once upon a time where I was just wondering, how was everybody else living the good life, making money, especially in the stock market? They had their money working for them. You hear about people becoming wealthy. And I thought, how do I get what I want out of the stock market? And I realized it was the same way that you get anything that you want out of life. And here's the ingredients and the formula that I want to share with you. And I want to show you how to apply it to the stock market. So I want you to think about it for a second. Have you ever been married? Have you ever purchased your first home? Have you ever went on a dream vacation, right? That was something that you desire. So first thing is, it starts with a desire. Like, you have to have a burning desire inside of you to go on that vacation, to get married and have your dream wedding, to buy your dream house. It's the same thing with the stock market. First, you have to have a desire to want to have your money work for you instead of you working hard for it. Once you realize that, hey, I have the desire, but I just don't know how to get what I want out of this machine called the stock market, I want you to think about some scenarios in life where you did figure it out, because you'll find there's a secret formula and recipe. First thing that there is when you think about a wedding or a vacation or buying your dream home is there is a finite time frame. So there's a time frame that you set that something has to happen by, whether that's the wedding's going to happen by next year. I have to leave this apartment by next year, so that means I have to find a home. We're going to go on vacation next year around this time. There is a finite time frame, meaning sometimes people think about money or get in the stock market and say, oh, that's going to take forever. But when you get married or go on vacation or buy a house, you don't say it's going to take forever. You say it's going to take 1 year. It's going to take 2 years. It's going to take 6 months. So first, you need to come up with a finite time frame for investing or for getting involved with the stock market, because that's what you did when you got married, bought a house, or took your dream vacation. The second thing is there's a finite cost, okay? And so when you look at your wedding, you say, hey, we have $20,000 to spend on the wedding. You know what the number is. You say, hey, we have $5,000 to spend on a vacation. You know exactly what the number is. You say, hey, we're going to get a house. We cannot go over $150,000 for the house. You have a finite cost or number that you know that you're going after. You have a target that you know you're going after. It's the same with the stock market. How much money do you want to make? How much money do you have to start with? Those are finite numbers, right? The good thing about it, though, is they can both work in your favor, is that you can come up with more money to get started with, and you can always make more money once you get the hang of this. But initially, you need to have a goal or a finite number that you're willing to go after to get started. The third thing is there's a grand finale date. And so what do I mean by a grand finale date? You know that when it comes to a wedding, or when it comes to a vacation, or when it comes to your dream home, you know that there's a date on the calendar that says, hey, we are moving in on this date. Hey, we are getting married on this date. Hey, on this date, I will have my toes in the sand with a margarita in my hand, because you're going to be on vacation. And so you know that there's a grand finale date where this is all going to pay off, where everything that you've worked hard for is going to come to fruition. Well, the same thing is with the stock market. You need to set a grand finale date, which just simply means, hey, I'm going to make $1,000 by this date. I'm going to make $10,000 by X amount of date, and have a date set to where you're going to celebrate, you're going to party, you're going to buy the dream car, whatever it is. You have a grand finale date that the hard work that you put in is going to pay off, and that you're going to celebrate, whether it's with yourself, with your loved ones, or by buying or enjoying whatever it is that you were working so hard for. Okay, the fourth ingredient, before we get to the recipe, because there's still a recipe, but the fourth ingredient is that you made a public commitment. So when you decided to get married, right, you put it on Facebook, you sent out the invitations, right? You made a public declaration that, hey, I'm tying a knot to this person on this date. When you decided to go on a vacation, you sent the text message out to your friends, you posted it on Facebook. 6 months and 5 days from now, countdown, we're gonna be in Cancun, right? When you decided that you were gonna buy your house and your offer got accepted, it's like 59 days, we will be living in our dream home, or we will have a backyard finally where the kids can play, right? So you made a public declaration about what it is that you were going after. The same thing is true if you want to be successful in the stock market. See, most people keep their passions or their ambitions inside, but what you need to do is make a public declaration and say, hey, I'm tired of being ignorant about how the stock market works. I'm tired of every time at work when someone brings up the stock market, I kind of just drop my head low and sit back in the corner and I don't participate in that conversation. I'm tired of every time I go talk to my financial planner, I'm staring at them like a deer in headlights. You need to make a public declaration that that day is over and no more will I be ignorant to how this stuff works. I'm planting my flag in the sand. I'm letting everybody know that I am going to learn how the stock market works and how to have my money work for me. So now that you got the ingredients, those are the ingredients. Now let's talk about the recipe, okay? So what's some of the things that we had to do inside of the recipe in order to make this thing happen? We got the ingredients, but part of the recipe, number one, is you started to do some research, okay? So now that you've decided you're getting married, buying a new house, going on vacation, or going to take the plunge and learn the stock market, you now have to do some research. You have to say, what wedding venue am I gonna go to? What caterer? What kind of DJs am I gonna have, right? You had to research hotels, flights. You have to do some Googling, some YouTubing, some asking around. You have to figure out the same thing with the stock market. What kind of trader am I? Am I a day trader? Am I an options trader? Am I a long-term trader? Am I a swing trader? Am I a value investor? You have to do some research to find out what type of person you are and what type of trading fits your style. That's the first key to the recipe. The second piece of the recipe is you start to price compare. You start to price compare wedding venues, you start to price compare DJs, you start to price compare airline tickets, you start to price compare homes to make sure that you're getting a good deal. So the same thing goes with the stock market. When you start to look at stocks and you've already made a decision that this is an industry you're gonna learn and you start to research and you're deciding like, okay, I'm gonna buy some stocks. You don't just go out and buy the first stock that you see. You start to price compare so you can see, is this stock overpriced? Is it underpriced? Is this about right fair value for this same stock in this same sector for stocks that are similar? So you start to price compare so that you can have a good idea if something's a good deal or not. Most people say, I have no idea if that's a good deal. Well, I guarantee you know if there's a good deal on a TV, you know if there's a good deal on a vacation or a wedding venue. Why? Because you price compared, you shopped, you did the research. And so the same thing is true with the stock market. You need to price compare, you need to shop, you need to do the research to find out if you're getting a good deal or not on the stock that you're thinking about buying. Okay, recipe piece number 3, right? You're in there, you're cooking. You got recipe number 1, you got recipe number 2, you got the ingredients, but let's talk about number 3. Number 3, you took baby steps to get towards your goal. I'm gonna keep talking about the vacation and the wedding because that's what most people blow all their money on, but when it comes to investing, they have no money left over for that, right? So think about it like this. When you put your money down on that wedding venue, you didn't come with the whole $20,000. You put $2,000 down to hold the wedding venue, $1,000 down to hold the DJ. You started to make these baby steps, make these deposits. When you think about your dream vacation, you put a deposit down on the hotel. You booked your airline ticket. You didn't pay it all up front usually. You came up with a payment plan or a process so that at the end, or when you got towards that grand finale date, right, that finite time in the future, that you would inch closer and closer to your ultimate goal and it wouldn't be such a big undertaking once the actual day got here. Well, it's the same thing with the stock market, okay? What baby steps are you gonna take to get closer to your goal? Baby step number 1 could be just watching a video like this. Baby step number 2 could be what course or coaching program are you gonna decide to take? Baby step number 3 could be figuring out how you're going to get some money into the stock market, okay? And that leads me to ingredient number 4, or recipe number 4. We already got the ingredients, but now that we have the ingredients, how do we mix it all together to get the recipe, right? And so the 4th component of the recipe is actually bridging the gap. And so what is bridging the gap? Bridging the gap is understanding that in order for you to come up with the $20,000 for the wedding, in order for you to come up with the $5,000 for that vacation, in order for you to come up with the $10,000 deposit for your dream home, you may say, I only got $7,000, right? So how do I bridge the gap? And that's when you start to say, do I work some extra hours? Do I pick up a second job? Do I sell some things in my house? Do I stop going out to eat? Do I buy one less coffee a week? Do I stop smoking cigarettes? What can I do to bridge the gap so that we can hit our goal of having our dream wedding, having our dream vacation, or buying our dream home? It's the same thing with the stock market. A lot of people want to make the excuse that I don't have enough money to start investing, or I'm in debt so I can't start investing until I get out of debt, or I don't know where to start. But the reality is, how do you bridge the gap? If you don't know where to start, what book can you read? What podcast can you listen to? What YouTube video can you watch to bridge the gap and stop saying, I don't know how this works? If you don't have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. When I started with $500. But then I started asking myself, how can I bridge the gap and come up with $1,000, $2,000, $10,000? Once I start asking those quality questions, how do I bridge the gap? And I had already set a date in the future. I already made a public declaration, right? So I already decided I was going in this direction. Then I started asking questions like, how can I speed this up? Or how can I bridge the gap and pick up some of my shortcomings, whether that was education or whether that was money-wise. So when you look at those simple ingredients and you mix it together and get the recipe, what I'm trying to tell you is I just gave you the formula to get whatever you want out of life, and good chance is that if you've already purchased a house, gotten married, or been on a vacation, you've already put these recipes and ingredients to work, but you haven't put it to work in your finances so that you can live an abundant life. So as we wrap up this video, here's what I'd love for you to do. Leave a comment below and let me know how you're going to use the ingredients and the recipe and put them together and bake the cake of your dreams, which is really creating a lifestyle that you want where finances is not an issue for you and your family anymore. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to hit the bell notification to get notified when we release new videos or when we go live here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and go bake your cake.